your sight. You see us, you see us. Show us the light you see inside. Show us the light in every life. You see us, you see us. Give us the courage not to hide. Speak out the love that's in your eyes. You see us, you see all of us. God who sees every dream, every goal, all our hopes. God who hears every cry. You're the one who loves us all to life. Oh, you're the one who loves us all to life. You love us all to life.
That was Marika Siewert and Brian Dirksen with Every Dream. Welcome to another episode of Journeys in Melody. I'm happy to be with you. My guest today is, of course, Marika Siewert from British Columbia, Canada. She is a recording artist, filmmaker, and coach, among other things, mom as well. So we have a woman here with us who does amazing, amazing things. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is very special.
Yeah. Tell us who you are.
Wow, I'm all those things. You know what? I'm just someone that just loves music. I love people. I love singing love over people. And yeah, and I'm also an actress and a director, producer, and yeah, a mom of three now young adult kids. And so, family has sort of always been first, and we get to sort of dream together, do our lives together. And my family's all also in music and film, and yeah, I think we just get to sort of do our dreams and live a good life. And
That's
we
beautiful. I
carry on.
saw that. I saw that your children are there too in everything that you do. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I started as an artist in pop music. So in top 40 pop music, I actually wanted really, really badly when I was younger, when I first started, to be a Christian artist. And I went to a Christian music conference, and there were no Black people at it. I was literally like the only person of color, never mind woman of color. I was literally like the
Mm.
only person of color at this conference. And I was like, God, I'm like, I don't know if I can I don't know if I can do this. And I was living in Alberta at the time, and my husband and I decided we're going to just move out to Vancouver. We felt like we should move to Vancouver and pursue music. And I did. And I
Mhm.
ended up working with these incredible pop producers who launched my career on Top 40 Radio in Vancouver. And then I launched as a pop recording artist across Canada. And so my first singles went like top 10 in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that is literally what launched my music career. And because of that, I met Brian Dirksen, who is, Canadian worship leader known for amazing songs like Come Now's the Time to Worship and Refine His
Mhm.
Fire. And he needed a lead female vocal on one of his musical projects that
Mm.
he was doing. And that's how I kind of started intertwining with the Christian music world again.
Yeah.
And now we're on tour together, and we get to make films together and do music
Ah.
together and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But our family has kind of always come along with me wherever I've gone. I've always wanted to be a mom who could raise my kids, but also not sacrifice my family doing that. And so we've managed to do that, to this day. So
Something that many people envy because many artists are away from the family doing their work, and
yeah.
sometimes it really impacts their family life negatively. You've been blessed with having all of that all in one. What a life! It's
Yeah, you know what? I
really,
have an amazing
yeah,
husband. I have an
yeah.
amazing husband who
That is
has
good.
been super supportive. Yeah, there's not a lot of women in this country in Christian music that could do it. And I definitely attribute him just being able to be home with the kids. And we travel together. We've always traveled together. It's made our music and my life fuller. I don't have to
Yeah.
sacrifice my family to do my music, and we were intentional about that because we didn't feel like we didn't want to model that. We didn't want to be one parent being gone all the time and another parent
Yeah.
having to, kind of do the homestead. And I've been really blessed to. I don't think I could have done it any other way, to be honest.
Yeah. What's his name?
His name is Stacy.
I want to big up Stacy for
Yes,
being
big ups
here
to
and for
Stacy.
supporting his wife and
Yeah,
holding the family together. That's a wonderful thing. So I learned that you're from Trinidad. You have some
I
Trinidad connections.
I am. Yeah. Well, my dad is from Mauritius. My mom is from Trinidad, so I'm actually mixed. But yes,
Oh
Caribbean
wow.
connections.
How did that happen? Because Mauritius is way over here
Yeah.
and Trinidad is way over here.
Yeah. So they met in England. So I actually grew up in England.
Ah, yeah, there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
grew up in England for 12 years, and then I moved to Canada when I was 12.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So you're Trini, you're Mauritian, you're
Yeah.
British,
And
and then now you're
Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah. I love it
That's
all. I
lovely.
love it all.
How is all that, all those influences, like island influence, and then all of that mixed together, influenced that upbringing and shaped the kind of person you are?
Yeah, I think it all shapes me because, my parents being from, the countries that they're from, they moved to England to really start a new life and on their own when they were, basically 18 years old. And so they've worked really, really hard to have what they had and to be able to give us kids just a better life. And so I learned how to work hard at a young age, because growing up in England too, our parents really wanted us to not feel other and to just really work hard and get what we like, really to just do what we wanted to do as adults. And so moving to Canada was a bit challenging because I love England. England, I feel like, is still my home. But when I moved to Canada, the town that we moved to is called Medicine Hat, Alberta. There were not very many ethnic families at the time,
Yeah,
and so we were basically thrust into this new life of like kind of farm town and country music. And but I had such a huge support in the arts in my school and in my arts programs in Medicine Hat.
hmm,
And I definitely got to thrive because I actually started as a classical music performer. I'm piano
ah,
trained
yeah,
classically
okay, okay, yeah,
and double bass classically. But I think because of our
nice.
culture, my dad was always playing soca music in the house, and my
Hmm.
parents, they had like UB40 on and Jimmy Cliff, and then my mom, obviously would always sing us like gospel songs to bed. She would sing songs as we would sleep. So I think that all influenced my musical style growing up because this very much like I am definitely an inspirational pop artist. I love the grooves, I love the vibes, but I also love like the emotional, empowering lyrics as well.
Yeah,
And I think that's just because I've watched my parents go after their dreams, and something that my dad always would tell me, he's like, you dream big,
mm.
you dream big and you worry about it later, kind of thing. And so, anything that seemed impossible, he would literally tell me to just keep going. And then whenever something didn't work out, he was never like, oh, you should probably just quit now. Like, he's like, it's gonna get better tomorrow, and I think that's a very kind of African island mentality. Like, come on, yeah,
True.
pull up your pants and keep going. And so, and I've learned that too, especially navigating a very kind of white industry, especially in Canada.
Hmm.
That even though I didn't really want to be one of the firsts, I probably still am one of the firsts in what I'm doing. And it's made way for other people of color in the industry. And it's just been stuff like, judging the Junos and, the GMA Canada. And it's like just having a footprint in these places to make way for other people like me.
Yeah,
And so yeah, so it all influences, I think. I'm a little more wild and free, I think, because of it, but i
yeah.
get i get stuff done.
So growing up with that kind of upbringing, when was that aha moment? You're like, music is what I want to do. Well,
Yeah, I was
music is
five.
one of
I
the
was
things
five
I
years old,
want
and
to
I'm
do.
like, I'm gonna play piano. Yeah, I didn't think at that time I'd be a recording artist, to be honest. Like,
Mm.
I wasn't that great of a singer when I was younger, but I knew I could play piano. And I think the piano made a way when I started doing church music. I had to learn a completely different way of doing piano. But I think when I was a teenager, I was like, I want to sing for Jesus, but I want to sing whatever I need to sing to influence people out of love, not out of
Yeah,
like, I need to save the whole world. It was more like, I want people just to know that they are loved. And I would write songs like that in pop music. I write songs like that now in Christian music. We've really been privileged to be able to have our hands in different circles of influence. just to basically love people. It's not like we need things from people that are, more famous than us, or wealthier than us. We just love being in a space where we can just be friends with people and be who we are. And I
Yeah,
think that's even our biggest, kind of joy, is being able to just, wherever God takes us, be with whoever, puts us with. So
yeah. You are recording music and you're doing music and you're growing in it. And 2010 came and you performed at the Olympics Torch. What was it? Tell us about that experience.
yeah, that was amazing, because being asked to come back to my hometown, Medicine Hat, and be a part of the Olympic show, and I got to be on stage with Terry Clark. Terry Clark's also from Medicine Hat, and so it was bringing us artists back to celebrate our hometown for the Olympics, and it was one of my favorite shows, to be in a town where, again, it's where I kind of was hugely supported in the arts, to come back and sing for my family and friends. And it was also the first trip I took my son, who was, I think he was 8 at the time. He was my sidekick, and he's just like watching his mom on stage, and that was pretty special. I was chosen to sing the song while the torch was being delivered to the stage. And I think that moment, I mean, I can still remember, I can picture it in my mind. It was very, very special. And you definitely feel like very patriotic and proud of your country
Yeah.
and the athletes. And I don't take any of that stuff for granted, because they could have chosen anybody to sing
Mhm.
to sing at
That's
that
true.
ceremony, And so when you're chosen, it's just a huge honor. And yeah.
And you've gone on to chart on pop and hot AC and different charts, and you've been recognized on different awards shows, etc. How have those awards and recognition pushed you forward and shaped the kind of musician that you are?
I think it's always nice to be validated that, what you do is working. I never considered myself one of the, like, super talented and, like, gorgeous performers. Like, it's like, I kind of just love the music, and I always wanted to be about the music. I think the hardest part is, like, putting on the dresses and doing your makeup and doing your hair. I'm like, can I just play, please? Like, you know what I mean? Um, but I think I love the award shows, because it brings the whole community together. I see friends
Hmm.
that I haven't seen in a long time at those
Yeah.
events, and when we're all nominated and things, and I love the community aspect of it. The awards, I'm always a hit and miss with the awards, because when you don't win, you obviously feel bad, but your career's not based on those things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I love definitely the recognition that it does, because some people, they get their visas to work in other countries because of it, or there's definitely business wise things that it helps. I think for me, it's kind of like a check in my heart that goes like, you're doing good, like, just keep going.
Yeah.
It keeps you in the conversation, and I think that's a good thing. I think people
Hmm.
that, I think it's good to be celebrated. I think it's good to recognize the hard work that people are doing. And our industry is a good way of doing that. And yeah, I love it. I love the whole idea of bringing people together to celebrate each other.
You were recognized for a pop album of the year for the
Yeah.
GMA Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That particular one, was it meaningful to you in any way?
Yeah, that was particularly meaningful, because that was an album that I recorded that I actually, right after that album, I got really sick and I couldn't tour that album. And it was
Oh,
my very, very first album. And so to be recognized in the pop album category by my Christian music peers was really, really special. And I think around the time, before then, I'd been recognized, like, for the Western Canadian Music Awards and even the Canadian Radio Music Awards in pop music. And I'd
mhm.
always wanted to do both. Like, I'd always wanted to be able to be in the pop world, but also, if I got to be in the Christian world too, that was great. And so it was really special doing that album, because honestly, when I made that album, I was really discouraged before I made it, and I said, God, I need someone to come alongside and just give me an album, pay for a whole album, and I'm not paying for anything anymore, because I'd spent all my money. I'm like, I'm kind of done. And a good friend of mine, Philip Jans, who's a producer, he didn't know that I prayed that. And he was just asking me, like, what I wanted to do with my music. And I was like, I must have been sharing something. And like the next week, he came to me and was just like, hey, Marika, I want to help you produce an album. And him and his wife, Brenda, who are as amazing songwriters too, they walked with me for about a year and helped me produce that album. And it
Yeah.
really kept me going with my music career.
Yeah.
And I really learned, like, God is there and listening and cares. And if you're supposed to be doing something there will be a way for it to be done. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think I remember being close to like, okay, I'm going to give up, and I'm not a quitter. I'm like, it takes a lot for me to get to that point. But for him to just come alongside and say, yeah, we're going to do it together. It was basically having a family producing for us for a year and making this album. So yeah, it was really, really special to get recognized for that.
Wonderful. I spoke with Brenda and Philip some time ago. I
You
was supposed to,
did.
I did. I was scheduled to talk to Brenda, but then
Yeah.
Philip was ready to jump on. So I was like, both of you come. So I had the both of them. So speaking to them and knowing how they have built their music and their family as well, touring with them and stuff. Now that you were talking, I'm like, oh, you know good people who helped you
Yeah.
out
Oh, they
along
are
the way.
some of the best. Yeah, they are
Yeah,
some of the best people. Yeah. And
yeah.
I'm often humbled by that, like by the people that God has brought into my life, into my music, to
Hmm.
just come alongside. And they've really become friends, like really good friends. They're not just people that come in and out of your life, like they're
Yeah.
people that, stay with you. So yeah,
I
they're
can
very,
see
very
it
special.
happening based on how Philip described his process and how he reaches out to people. Like he has a sixth sense who
Yeah.
to work with and stuff. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you've been working with Brian Dirksen as well for a long time.
Yeah.
And you're seeing how beautifully those records are coming out now and impacting lives everywhere. You and Brian have a special relationship, right? And you've been doing music together. How has that partnership impacted you personally and professionally?
Bride and I, we became really close over COVID because our families, we live kind of close to each other. In that time, all the music stopped, all the touring stopped, all the
Yes.
filmmaking stopped. And so we were kind of like artists being like, what do we do now? Like, is that it? Our career's over kind of thing. And so I think, for Bride and I, we started dreaming together. And I think, and he'll agree, it's like our families kind of helped each other and we help each other. And I mean, of course, I've been influenced by his music for, since I was young. But I think what makes us work is it's actually our family and our friendship. And we can kind of just be real with each other. Like I know a lot of people will go places and people are so intimidated by him. And I'm still a little bit intimidated when I'm like, I've got this song, like I want to sing for you, and I'm like, I'm so nervous singing the song for you. But I think it's just because we trust each other, we know each other, and it's fun having someone who's an artist as well, who's kind of gone before me, who understands the ins and outs and the ups and downs.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of talks about how it feels like the Canadian stage, especially, is very still unequal when it comes to just representation of artists on stage. And I was like, there's a lot of Black girls on stage, but they're singing background, and I'm not that girl, and so
Mm.
I'm like, we'll tour, but I'm not your background girl, it's like we're doing it together. And he really makes a way, and he's been very intentional about making a way. And it hasn't come without its challenges. We've definitely had challenges along the way where we've had to really be purposeful, sharing what our message is and how it's important to respect women on stage, respect Black women on stage. And because often people will be like, oh, Brian's done so much for you, and I'm like, yeah, I've done a lot for him too, and he will be the first to say. And I think that's why it works, is because we're both artists in our own right. And then when we come together, it's a great dynamic on stage,
Hmm.
and we have so much fun, and
Nice.
I think there should be more fun in Christian music and being on
Of
stage. And I'm
course.
like, we're
Agreed.
glorifying God, absolutely, and we're praising, we're worshiping, we're singing songs, even times of grief for people. But we can also still have fun and laugh and joke and make
Absolutely.
mistakes and get back up again
Hmm.
and keep going. And so
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about him. Like I can make mistakes, but they don't cancel me. It's not like we're cancel culture and same back. Like
Hmm.
it's like you work through it, you go for it, and then and our hearts, both our hearts are really to sing love over people. And I think that's what makes us work. It's really not about anything that we do. It's about how do we let people know they're loved, so that when they walk away from our show, they genuinely feel loved. So
Yeah. I was stalking your website and I saw some stuff on there and I was like, oh, you're an actress. I didn't know
yeah.
that. I thought you were a musician. So when I saw that, I was like, nice. How did you start acting? What has that been like?
Yeah, I actually started acting because of being a musician. So I got asked to play piano on a TV series, and I was like, sure, that sounds fun, and and I loved it. Like, it was for a show called Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and it was by the executive producer who did a show called Touched by an Angel. I don't know if you remember that show.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a singing piano role, and oh, maybe just it was singing, maybe. Yeah, it was for music anyways. And I loved it. And that was my first film role, but I think we how did we get started? I think my kids actually got started first. I think they started doing commercials,
Hmm.
and then we all started doing it together as a family. So we would book together as a family. And then after my Unstoppable album was made, as I said, I got really sick, and I said, God, we need more provision, but for less work, because I was in and out of hospital
Yeah.
for like a whole year basically. And that year, our family would just book commercials together. And we would basically make enough money for the month on like one day of filming a commercial. That's how that started. But I do feel like acting, being an actor has like always been in me. Like, I've always been in theater and musical theater. And so to see it happen in film and television has been such a treat and such a gift.
Yeah.
And then we started booking films, and then I started booking on my own, and it's not as fun like on my own without the family, but I also see that it's somewhere that the doors are open, and I love it, the training, the craft of it. I love being on set. I love meeting the people on set, and I really do want to be an example of representation on a screen, and like leading lady roles. And so,
Yeah.
there's a part that you've got to play. Like, I think my very first thing was like background on a movie called The Tooth Fairy with Dwayne Johnson. And I just remember being in this like freezing hockey arena watching Dwayne Johnson fly like a fairy in the hockey arena, and I'm like, this is so cool, and I loved it. Yeah, and then our kids, we've kind of followed our kids around for a few years, because they would book in England and Toronto and Montreal,
Hmm.
and then in Vancouver. And so and now, my oldest son is at film school in California. My
Nice.
middle son's doing visual sound design for film, and then my daughter is also she's going to music now to university. But we all have our hand in something, film and music at some point in time. And it's been a real privilege. Like, I realize not everyone gets to be in that, and the fact that we do is really special. And in Vancouver especially, like, as your wife would know, like, there's so
Hmm.
much filming.
Yeah.
and
You know. Yeah.
and I think in Vancouver there's a bit of a stigma of like, oh, if you're black you're going to be background. And I'm like, no, 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 they just haven't had training. Let's train all the black people. Let them be leads. And I think because I've put my time in, and we've been in it like 15 years now,
Yeah.
and the casting directors all know who we are, and it's building that relationship and that long-term kind of goal. And man, there's nothing like working on a TV set. Like, it's one of my favorite things. So
That's amazing. I
yeah.
mean, I want to switch from music to film, but
Yeah.
I'm tempted, and I won't do that. But when you're into production now, is the family planning to have a company in the future?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, like, we have now basically used our music and our film. I think more artists should do it. Like, the fact that we can cross industries and make them work together.
Yeah.
The reason I started becoming a director, or I became a director, is because Brian and I over COVID were like, what are we going to do? We wanted to still sing to people. And, his son-in-law, Luke, is an amazing cameraman. And my son also is married to a cameraman. And we're like, we
Look at
have all the
that.
people here. Our kids
Yeah.
are all actors.
Yeah.
And then we co-directed it was called what is it called, Home for Christmas with Brian, no, wait, Christmas at Our House with Brian Dirksen and friends. And it ended up winning a Leo Award, which is a BC film award, which
Hmm.
is super rare for like a faith-based film to win an award like that. And so that opened the doors then for me to grow as a director, because then the people in Toronto were like, we need more black directors, more black female directors. I ended up working with Megan Good on a Lifetime movie as a director
Hmm.
apprentice, and
Yeah.
those doors sort of all open. And now my son is going to school. He works with a guy named Kenny Ortega, Paul Becker. They did like the High School Musical series and the Descendants series, and all these crazy cool doors have opened. And so I know
Hmm.
that I know that it's a space that we're supposed to be in. And and if we get to do it together, that the more the merrier, the better it is for
Yeah.
us. But yeah, we love it. And I feel like our music background has helped us with our film background, because even one of the movies that I was working on, the director was I was director apprenticing on, and the director was like, oh my gosh, we need a piano player, like, but we need like black hands. And I was like, he's like, can you play piano? I'm like, actually I can, you know. And so I ended up doubling the piano hands for this, you know, for the one of the actors. But that's also how I started in film, was playing piano on movies, and
Yeah,
then I just, you know, fell in love with acting and kind of climbed ever since. And
that's
so
amazing.
yeah, and so I, you know, I feel
Amazing.
like if you're
Yeah,
a creative and if you're a musician, you probably got it in you to act as well, because it's part of just that creative spirit.
yeah,
And I would just say you just never know what doors could open if you're open to it and you want to put the work in. And
yeah,
because I've kind of seen it, you know. And it's, again, it's not easy. Like I my husband was saying, he's like, I probably recorded like 300 auditions like in the last like 3 months. And I'm like, that's crazy, you know. And
yeah,
you know, I booked 2 movies, and then I was on hold for like a supporting for another movie. And when you get the job, you know, obviously it's the most rewarding. But I love just playing and doing the auditions, and it's a chance for the casting directors to see you.
yeah,
And they all know that I'm a musician, so you know, I'll be one of the people they call when they need someone to play piano or sing or and act as well, because they know I can do it. And so
yeah.
yeah, it's very rewarding.
That's amazing. Again, my love for movies, I do two things. I pay attention to the track for the movie,
Yeah.
and when the film ends, I watch all the credits.
So do I. Oh
So
no way! I literally do. I'm like sometimes the only one left in the movie theater. I also do
exactly.
it. I also do it to honor the crew, because like these people work so hard, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch their names. But I love seeing where they're filmed. I love seeing who's doing the movie. Movie soundtracks are some of my favorite music of all
Yeah.
time. Like scores and soundtracks.
Yes.
You know, Hans Zimmer, John Williams. I recently got to sit in,
Brian Tyler.
yeah, on in Warner Brothers studio in
Mm,
LA, on a session, on an orchestra session, scoring session, and it was unbelievable. And I'm like,
nice. Yeah.
ah, this is so
Oh,
cool.
you're living my dream. Give it to me. So that's very nice. But music is film. You don't really have a good film without a good soundtrack behind it,
Absolutely not. I know, it's
right?
crazy. The music makes or breaks the film sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and it evokes that emotion and all of that. You're doing all these things. How do you find that balance? Family, music, movies, producing, etc.
Yeah. I think that I'm just really intentional with my time. Like at the end of the day, family trumps all the work. And so, you know, I've been really intentional about keeping our family close. Also, you know, we deal with mental health challenges within our family, and so I'm very hyper aware of when things are being too extended, that our
Mm,
family suffers. And you know, I shut things down real quick when we really need to be here to just support each other. And I think that's probably slowed me down a little bit in a good way, because
yeah,
I don't just do everything that comes. I'm very intentional with how I say yes to things.
right.
But it's also us, it's also me being an example to my kids of teaching them how to value themselves, to what they should say yes and no to, and really being purposeful about that. And so, you know, balance, I don't know if there's a balance really in our lives, because sometimes it could be like we book a job for a movie and I'm on the plane, you know, the next day. And our last tour, we were doing a cross Canadian tour, and I booked a movie on literally like the 3 days off that we had from tour in Ontario.
Yeah,
And I originally said no to it. I was like, no, just get them to get their second. Like, there's always a second and a third choice, right?
yeah.
And my agent calls and she's like, there's no second or third. They need you. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, well, technically I could fly home, but then I got to fly back to Ontario while the tour bus, you know, drives there. And I did. I flew home. I flew to Kelowna, filmed for like 2 days, and flew back to Ontario to get back on the tour. I don't do that all the time, but for that particular one, I did, because it was one of the bigger roles that I booked. My agents are really supportive of the
Yeah,
music and the film, so it helps to have a great team as well.
it's extraordinary, really. You've managed to merge the two and enjoy it.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, it's really good. You trained in film school in England.
Yeah.
How was that process in training for film and then applying it?
Yeah, it's very different, because I started as an actor first, booking on set. So I actually had set experience before I had training. So to go, I wouldn't recommend it that way. Because I knew my teachers were like, you're a little bit snooty. Like, I was literally in film school. because we were doing it online with the film school in London, and I was filming Superman and Lois at the time on the
Hmm.
CW network, and they were teaching me stuff. I'm like, that doesn't happen on set. I'm like, it was just there. I was probably like their worst nightmare. They're like, no, could you please not tell people how it really is? But there's definitely key things you learn in training that, they tell you learn all the skills and then forget about it when you get on set and you just do the job. But it's because of the training that you can forget about it and just be the character and be on the job. And so I learned really quickly how to adapt from set to director because everybody is different. And then
Hmm.
it also helped me be a better director and a better producer because I can understand what people are going through just as artists, but also what it takes to just deliver that performance on the day. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and I loved it. And I trained with Identity School of Acting in London. And, I mean, they're an ongoing school. I'd love to go back in person and train, but it's where like John Boyega came from and Letitia Wright. And yeah, just some really
Uh,
quality
yeah.
actors. And
Yeah.
I loved it because they were trying to give opportunities, and they started because they wanted to serve people of color that weren't getting the proper training that
Yeah.
they deserved. And that's why I love that school, and I've met some incredible people from it. So
Yeah. And that's working because the name you
yeah.
just mentioned, they're doing well too.
Yeah,
Um,
they're doing amazingly well, and
yeah.
and that's kind of what drew me to it, and the things I learned there, I still take with me today when I'm on set. So
Do you find it to be more difficult being a woman of color as opposed to your white counterparts?
I don't think it's more difficult. I think just the opportunities are different. And
Mm,
so I think when you have the training and you have the gift, but there's a little bit of a spark there, the doors will open. I just think that there's less doors for people like me. And
mm,
so I think one of my feelings is that by being a director producer, I can help make more space and make more room for people like me. And it may be more challenging, like even with my friends who are white, I'll help them get agents, and all of a sudden I'll see like they get lead roles right away.
yeah.
Whereas for me, I'm like, what? I've been doing this for like 10 years. I still like it takes me like 3 years to get a lead
Mm,
role. So the
yeah.
opportunities are different, but I feel like that because of people like Ava DuVernay in America, and Shonda Rhimes, like there's people that have been in it, Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, like there's these sort of hardcore women that have just stuck it out,
Yeah.
and I think of someone like even like Cece Winans, who I think is 60 now, and now she's been in the music industry since she's like 20 years old.
Yeah.
But like now is going on her world tours, like with Michael W. Smith, and she kind of pivoted to like more worship style, and I'm like, she's 60, she's a
Yeah.
60-year-old black woman,
Mm,
being a powerhouse, doing her thing, and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of the trajectory, is that you got to be doing it for like 40 years, and then people kind of realize, that you're there.
yeah.
Whereas I
Yeah.
think when you're white and sort of a stereotypical idea of like superstar, you get all the roles kind of given to you. I think you still, either way, black or white, you have to have the talent. It's a bit more challenging to break through
Breakthrough.
at
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. You have kind of a quicksand to go through when you're a person of color, and that's important because many young people try to get into the creative industry, and it's slow, and
Yeah.
so they end up giving up or
They end up
they're
giving up. Yeah.
yeah. So that's important for them to know. Stick to it. Keep working and work hard.
Yeah. I wish someone would have told me when I first started that it's the long game. Because I think I started music when I was 19. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a superstar overnight, and
Mm,
it sometimes it happens that way. I wouldn't recommend doing it that way because you almost, when things are bad, you almost quit. Whereas for me, it's just always been kind of a slow rise, and I've continued doing what I do. And when it doesn't work out, I still keep going. I don't think there's anything else I would want to do. And so
mhm.
there's definitely times where I'm like, I think things could have gone a little faster had I maybe sacrificed some of the family stuff, but
Yeah.
then my family would have suffered, and I just never wanted to. And I think I've grown children now who value us as parents. They've become our friends, they've become our colleagues, as well.
Yeah.
And that to me is more important because the industry stuff is so up and down. film or music, and sometimes it can be about your last song on the radio or your last hits or your last thing that you produced. And
Yeah,
at the end of the day, none of that matters. It's amazing. It gets you, maybe some royalties in your pocket and some notoriety, but I'm more about the long game of like, let's build great songs. Like, let's write great songs that last the test of time. Let's create moving things that people that, become the soundtrack to people's lives. And the
yeah,
same thing with films. Some of the most powerful films, I remember these moments when you're sitting in the theater or watching at home. You remember some of those most powerful moments that inspire you to keep going into your next thing. And so,
yeah,
I'm a big dreamer, and I want other people to dream big and know that, God can open the door for your dreams. And so
yeah,
I think because I've always taught my kids that, it's pushed me to live it, in real life. And so, during the whole COVID thing, when Black Lives Matter was happening, and there was like real clashes between white
mm-hmm.
people, Black people, church
Yep.
people, like it was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I was doubting like all of the people around me. I'm like, wait a minute, is everyone racist around me? Like, no, they're not racist. Like,
Yeah,
they just don't know. And so I think we need more people like us just staying in the game, and staying in the game long
true.
term
Yeah,
and doing what we do with excellence, just showing up, being an example of who we are, being exactly who we are, and yeah, and just sticking it out. And I think that's the biggest example of what you can do as an artist, as a creative, as an entrepreneur.
yeah. And that's why I'm happy you took on coaching, because these lessons are important to impart to the younger artists that are coming up, your kids included,
Yeah,
to show them the right way to do this. Because with social media, it's
yeah,
easy for someone young to post something and go viral and start getting calls. They're not too sure. And then that might end, that will end. Viral doesn't last forever, right?
yeah.
So the coaching part is very good. Now you're directing and producing and you're doing music. What type of films do you make, and how do you choose the type of film?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's just what the opportunity comes. I'm definitely, my heart is to make inspirational films that really
Mm,
impact people. As an actor, I just am really intentional about the roles that I choose, but I'm also very much so like, these are the roles that I'm getting and I want to do them well. Sometimes I'll do the auditions knowing that if they offer me the role, I may or may not take it. And that's a conversation from my agents of like, I want to show them that I can do the job. But if it compromises what I believe, or if it compromises something that, would clash with my music, or, what I'm doing, I have to think a little bit more about it. But for the most part, it's art, and I think as Christians, we get judged a little bit heavier based on our art versus how good we are at
mhm.
our art.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think about that. The last couple movies I've done have been thrillers, and a Christmas movie. I love Christmas. I could spend my whole life doing
I
Christmas
could tell you
movies.
love Christmas.
I love Christmas.
Yeah, I could tell.
And I'm like, my dream is like, Brian and I have written a musical Christmas movie, and that's what we're trying to get made now. And
Amazing.
that would be my dream. But I like all of the different movies. I'm not huge on like the, shooting and the chopping things off. Like, I don't do thrillers or horrors. I don't think I ever will, unless there's
Right.
some kind of major character that I'm like, oh no, I love this character. But I would probably never watch the movie, to be honest.
So I picked out a song from your catalog. I'm going to play this song because I like the song. And I recognize before you even said it that you're a lover of Christmas. So we're going to play Christmas is Here, and then we're going to come back and continue the conversation.
Oh, you got it.
Winter snow is finally falling. Celebrate the newborn king. All the church bells are finally ringing, and I can hear the angels sing. Christmas is here, magic is all around. Christmas is here, it's where miracles can be found. Christmas is here. We can help like answers to my prayers. We pray that love and hope and joy would be everywhere. Magic is all around. Christmas is here. The magic is all around. Christmas is here. It's where miracles can be found. Christmas is here. The magic is all around. Christmas is here. It's where miracles can be found. Christmas is here. Christmas is here. Christmas is
Christmas is here. That was a lovely Christmas song. Christmas is the big time of the year. I mean, people love Christmas and Christmas music and Christmas stuff. How do you find the reception to your Christmas songs?
You know, the Christmas songs have been like kind of my biggest, one of my biggest joys because I'd always wanted to be on Christian and pop music at the same time. And my very first single called This Christmas Time was the first single to do that. And it was really special having that song play on both genres at the time. And yeah, Christmas is really special to me. I think because my parents always made it special and we've made it special for our kids. And of course, it's celebrating, the birth of Jesus and hope and light
Mhm.
in a dark season. And so just everything about it, I think, kind of keeps us going for the year, for the year ahead. And so, my daughter, actually, my whole family, I think, is my husband in it. Anyway, my daughter and my son are for sure in that video. My
Ah,
oldest son is co-directed it with me, and then my friend Cliff, who's also in the video, he produced it with me. And so again, it was a real family affair. And yeah, that's my favorite thing, is making films with my family and friends. So Christmas is all about doing that. So, and it's actually cool because Cliff and my kids and my family were in my very first Christmas video as well, which was about 10 years before that one. So
yeah, yeah. I love that the family is there with you. It's like,
yeah.
is it 5 of you?
There's 5 of us. So my husband Stacy, and then my oldest son Zach, my middle son Jaden, and my daughter Zoe. And Zoe's the girl who sings in the
Right.
video with me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's wonderful. So when you were looking at creating, whether it's a music project, how does that look when you're sitting with your kids and your husband and trying to work out everything?
It's very collaborative, like doing this video. We kind of sit down with the idea. We map out where we're going to do it. Because my oldest son directed it with me, he was in charge of most of the shots, and he's the one with the eye. He's holding the camera. He's saying, "Oh, try moving here instead of here." And so it's very collaborative, and I think it's a matter of trust. But I think because we've worked together for so long on different projects, and we know set life together, it's easy to trust each other, because I may not see something that he's seeing, and then he listens to me as the artist going, but I need this captured. And then
Hmm.
we come up with it. And of course, you film way longer than you need just so that you have enough footage, but then you edit the film together. I think I edited this one, and so I got to capture what I wanted to edit. And I realized that's unusual. Most people are hiring other people out to
Yeah,
direct and produce and edit, and I kind of just did it out of necessity. Like I didn't have any counterparts that were like, "Oh, Marika, let me help you with your music video." I'm like, I didn't have those people. And I was like,
yeah,
how does everyone else get to do this? And it's like they all have friends helping them do that. And I don't know if it's because I was a mom raising my kids that I didn't, expand my video network, but I kind of did it out of necessity. And so, my husband had a camera, my son had a camera. We're like, yeah, let's just roll with this. And we do. And so, now obviously my son's doing it professionally, but it has to be collaborative. I don't think you can do any of those things just, on your own without a team of people saying, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. For many other artists and
Yeah.
actresses, you have the artist, then you have a team of persons who come from everywhere else, not in your home. So how do you balance being mom, wife, but you are the director or you're the artist? How does that work?
I mean, my you should ask my kids. Do I balance it well? I'm not sure. You know what? I'm a bit of a workaholic. Yeah, my name's Marika Siewert. I'm a workaholic. I you know what I think? I think for me, it's just I'm always thinking, and I'm realizing I'm learning this about me, that I have a bit of a divergent brain, a bit of a neurodivergent brain, and I don't
Mhm.
consider it to be a negative thing. I consider it to be it's the reason I can be creative. It's the reason I
It
can
is,
be a
yeah,
mom and a
yeah,
creative. It's the reason I can think of things that haven't been thought of before. And so for me, it's like I don't really go in and out of work and family mode. Like I know some people do that. I'm just not. I'm like, I'm having dinner,
ah,
but then we could be talking about the next thing. And, I've definitely learned, like, my kids don't always want to hear about work, but it is a part of who I am. And I'm not really afraid of that. And my kids know, if you ask any of them, they're like, what's your mom like? And, so many people, like, they'll say about their mom, they're like, oh, she makes like the best meals and we have all this like family time. My kids will be like, she's a boss lady and she's a big dreamer. And that's what they love about me. I'm a
yeah,
good cook too. Like, I don't tell that many people, but, we do the home thing, but it's not necessarily what I'm known for as a mom. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm doing my dreams, but I'm doing it so I can pave a way for my kids, to
yeah.
even do more than me. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I balance well. Sometimes my family's like, chillax, but totally, you know.
What's your favorite meal to cook? Let's talk about that a little bit.
That's a good question. What would be my favorite meal to cook? Probably something like pesto pasta with pine nuts. Probably my favorite.
Okay.
Maybe my mom's potato salad. She makes a pretty good potato salad from the islands.
Yeah.
I don't know. We kind of love fry bake. That's kind of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Trini
Yeah.
staple around here is fry bake. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've had many moments. Is there any moment that was life changing for you?
Ooh, that was life changing. That's
Yes.
a good question. Ooh, I mean, there's probably been moments. There's probably been lots of moments. Touring with Brian has been pretty amazing. I definitely have had like highlights of career moments in my life. I got to sing, I don't know, for 40,000 people at the Seattle Thanksgiving or Macy's Christmas parade, actually.
Nice. Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. But I think my most life-changing moments are being able to, be on tour with Brian and hear the stories of people that have been impacted by the music, and really people who lives have been saved, from
Mm,
a song like Faithful One. And I think having someone like that to walk alongside with and see how he's impacted people, it makes me a better artist and makes me want to write more songs that stay with people for a long time. I know we're in a very TikTok generation that
yeah.
things are around for like 30 seconds and then they're on to the next thing. And I think
Hmm.
as an artist writing, especially Christian music, or inspirational music, that it makes me want to write better songs that stay around longer, that become the soundtrack of people's lives, and so I would say that has been one of the life changing moment things, was just seeing how these people are really impacted by the music. And of
Yeah.
course, like, I feel like I've been in music a long time, but I feel like I'm still just getting started when it comes to being an artist. And
Hmm.
even having the opportunity to tour as I've toured in Canada with Brian, as there's not a lot of other people doing that. And so the fact that I've been in it this long and I'm still one of the first people, touring across Canada as a woman of color, as a lead artist, not just an opening act or something like that. And
Hmm.
our team's pretty intentional about that it's not, that we're doing it together. And so, yeah, I'm not oblivious to the fact that it's still difficult. but it's possible.
What kind of work goes into your songwriting process?
Yeah, it's just the consistency. One thing I learned from Brian is, every Friday he has a songwriting appointment, and I've really taken that to heart. Before, when I was raising young kids, not as easy, and I often wrote just when the inspiration came. Um, you know, there's moments of inspiration, and Brian calls it a seed, and I love that. And it's like you got to capture that seed, whether it's on your notebook or your voice memo app, and then you work on it, and that's when you go to work. And so
Hmm.
having a very purposeful songwriting time, I it's hard for me to just get in the moment and songwrite quickly with other people. I need to sort of process the relationship, and do I trust this person, do I not? And so for me it's very much a longer process. There's
Yeah,
definitely been songs that come in like an hour, that are just divinely inspired for sure. But most of it
yeah.
is like working on a song sometimes for years to come to where it finishes. And so, yeah, and I've learned a lot about songwriting. Like I've done the homework, and I've, learned the skill set of how to songwrite well.
Lovely. And on that note, you and Brian, God's willing, will be in Hope, Camp Hope,
Yes.
coming up. I was like surprised when I saw that because we plan to be there.
Good.
So I was like, all right, I can't miss that. So all being well, I'll see you there as well.
Amazing. Yeah.
What does that look like? A kind of a workshop, concert kind of thing.
Yep.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so that one was a really special invitation, obviously, because it was the Seventh Day Adventist conference. And we're
Hmm.
basically just teaching songwriting. So, you'll come, we share, some basics on how to, start writing songs really well. And, our hearts are to raise up local songwriters, within your local church or your local community,
Hmm.
is super important. And so really, Brian and Luke, his son-in-law, have created this incredible course called Unlocking Your Songs. And they just know I love teaching on songwriting as well. And so we just share kind of stories but also process. And then we're sharing the stage and doing a full concert as well in the evening. So it's going to be a great time, to be able to
Yep.
just be with people, kind of close to where we live, and yeah, share community together and share songs together. And of course it's always a highlight singing, Come Now's the Time and Faithful One and Refiner's Fire, and just some songs that have been around for a long time and still
Yeah.
impact people. And so it's always a privilege for me what we do together. And so yeah, I never take it for granted, but it's gonna be fun that night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This should be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. I was really pleasantly surprised when I saw that. When you talk about stepping away from the set or the camera and the mic and the recording, how do you plan your coaching time?
Yeah, so my coaching happens really intentionally. I mean, one of the things that I do is I'm really adamant about artists investing in themselves. And so, I don't have a lot of time to coach, but when I do, I consider it a long-term thing for the artists that I work with, because some of the artists that I work with, when I know that they're going to invest in themselves, then I want to invest back into them. A lot of artists will spend a lot of money on making their album. They'll spend no money on learning how to market it, how to get it out to the people, how to go on tour, how to just treat people properly. And
Hmm.
when they've consulted with me, because it's about investing in me also, as like I know my value, and I'll only work with people that really want to respect and value who I am. So I do it very occasionally, but when I do it, I know that people who are going to be in my camp are listening to me. There could be a movie that I'm doing that is not for me, but it's for them. And so it also, when people sort of come in alignment with us, doors open for them as well. And so we've seen, some pretty good success with artists that have come alongside what we're doing. And they're artists that I would pull into songwriting sessions, or, if we're doing a local show, or there's just, you're kind of building a community, and because I know that the artists that I've worked with, I can recommend because I get to know them. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, this person is awesome. So,
I see.
I can vouch for them. And for the
Yeah.
most part, I started because parents of young artists just didn't know what to do.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, well, I have three young artists, but also myself. I'm doing it myself. And it's not like I used to do it, I'm still doing it. And so I have a pretty hands on gauge of the industry, both in film and music, and also for parents who are trying to navigate that for their kids,
Yeah.
and, learning on the job, basically. And so knowing the ins and outs, what rules are there, what rules you can kind of break sometimes.
Yeah.
And then, but also because we have that element of faith with, doing what I do,
Hmm.
it's not about just taking every job that comes to you because you're supposed to. It's,
Yeah.
you still got to feel like what is right for you and your family. So yeah, I love it because I also didn't have mentors like that, until really Brian
Right.
came along. Like I definitely had like youth pastors and teachers and stuff, but as far as someone saying, "Hey, what do you do?" Like, what do I do when somebody asks me this? I just had to navigate it on my own. And I
Yeah.
think you become, what maybe you didn't have. And so for me, it just started with when all these artists were like, "How do you get on the radio?" I'm like, "Oh, it's actually kind of easy, like if you do the right steps and write good songs." So yeah, I do love that aspect of teaching, on short term kind of things.
Yeah.
But I've created curriculum for universities. Like I've done kind of a lot of things in between my career. But yeah, I'm never opposed. Like if someone asks me, I always consider it, because I know that it could be someone that God is bringing me to help or come alongside
Yeah.
or even
Exactly.
become a co-writer with. And so, yeah, I think it's good to always be open to people older than you, younger than you. Everyone is a mentor around you if you just stay curious and keep learning.
True. That is so true. As we come down to the end of this awesome conversation,
Yeah.
you've been in the industry for a while. What lessons have you learned that really impacted you that you would like to share with a young creative or a young artist coming up?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, get people around you that are going to tell you the truth. Learn, like, get good at your craft. If you say you want to be a singer, a songwriter, even an actor, like, learn the skills. Don't just be like, "Well, God gave me this gift." I'm like, "That's great," but if you suck at it, don't tell people God gave you the gift. So learn the craft. Read books. You can, everything is on Google these days. You should be able to learn, learn everything online. And then really just like, always be curious, just stay curious. You don't have to say yes to everything, but really really know your purpose and why you're in it. I say if you can do anything else other than being an artist, do anything else.
Yeah.
But when you know that this is what you're supposed to do, it's a long game. You got to just stay in it, never give up. Definitely dream bigger than you think, because God will bring stuff that you never even imagined.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to fail. You'll do a lot of things that will work, and then you'll do a lot of things that won't work. It's even in music, even in producing or creating a new song. In film and TV, it's the same. You're gonna do 100,000 auditions, and they may all be great, but you may only book a few of them. But you just don't give up, because if you really love what you're doing and you really feel like that's what you're supposed to be doing, you just do it, and the income will come, the provision will come, the people will come. And that's the biggest thing, is surrounding yourself with good people, a
Yeah.
good team. But you do the work yourself until the team comes around you. And it's definitely better to do it together. So
Yeah.
collaboration is always a good thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Marika.
Thank you for having me.
I've
Well, I can't
enjoyed
wait
this
to.
conversation so much, and there was more I wanted to ask you, but time won't allow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me
No,
and
thanks
sharing
for
so
having me.
many gems.
Yeah, well, I love that we're in the neighborhood, so you're gonna have to come for coffee or tea or
I
smoothie or
know.
something.
Absolutely. I will let you know for sure.
Everyone brown, black or white.
Everyone precious in your sight.